actually Rick and Morty via Justin Roiland.
Brace yourself, Rick and Morty fans. I've got another huge squanch for you today. It's more bad news. For those that are unfamiliar with the situation, I'll go ahead and briefly break down the cliff notes for you. It recently came to light that one of the series creators, Justin Roiland, has been facing felony domestic violence charges for an incident that took place in 2020. It's been an ongoing thing, but has only recently made it to the public eye. And as you can imagine, this news has been a massive hit to the plumbus for the entire fandom. They're very serious charges. Felony domestic violence as well as a false imprisonment charge. Like, that's serious shit. There's nothing swifty about domestic violence. So when all of this news broke, a lot of people were rightfully upset. But since he still hasn't stood trial for these things, it still was left up in the air with what's going to happen to the series going forward. There's been a ton of hearings and even a pre-trial, but still no official trial date has been set, though that does seem like it's right around the corner. And as I mentioned, I was assuming that Adult Swim wouldn't make any statements or any changes like firing Justin Roiland or anything like that until after the trial, whether it's a conviction and he's found guilty or he's found innocent. I didn't think they would act in the meantime. But just like my doctor when he said I would grow up to be 5'8", I was wrong. Just a couple hours ago, Adult Swim flopped their meat on the table, releasing this statement, which is super cut and dry and to the point. Adult Swim has ended its association with Justin Roiland. Rick and Morty will continue. The talent and dedicated crew are hard at work on Season 7. This was very shocking to me because, again, I didn't think they'd do this when he still hasn't been found guilty on the charges yet. So it really seems like they must know at least more than the public does about this case and feel confident that whatever's happened here is not good and it's not someone that they'd want to associate with their brand anymore. Though it is also possible that they're just doing this because keeping him around is bad optics for Rick and Morty, which is by also possible that they're just doing this because keeping him around is bad optics for Rick and Morty, which is by far their biggest cash cow that Adult Swim is still suckling the tits off of. So maybe they're worried that by keeping Justin Roiland around, it'll be a huge hit to their bottom line because of everything that's already surfaced. Even outside of the charges here, the majority of people have already kind of ruled that Justin Roiland is creepy at the very least. There was this massive flood, this opening of Pandora's box of weird DMs that Justin Roiland was accused of sending to people, as well as text messages going out to people and employees. I'm not sure if those are 100% confirmed, but they are turbo stinky. That shit is fucking foul. The flirting sounds like it's actually him playing the Morty character and trying to flirt with real people, so he'd say things like insane in the membrane and even text like he's Morty saying like, oh, whoa, hubba, hubba, whoa, jeez. It's all pretty bad, but again, I don't know if any of that's 100% confirmed, so I'm not going to bother pulling it up. But yeah, once all of that shit pulled itself out from the deepest pits of hell and hit the Twitter space, it pretty much banished his reputation to the Shadow Realm even before the courts did it for him. So the people have already charged and found Justin Roiland guilty of cringe, which is another massive crime and huge sin. But I'm hoping Adult Swim did their due diligence and actually investigated this themselves internally to see what was true and what's not, as opposed to just looking at Twitter screenshots, since some of the people that accused him of sending these fucking weird messages were former employees, I believe. So surely there'd be a way for Adult Swim to verify the authenticity of some of the claims, and I'm hoping that's what they did before making this decision. I hope it wasn't just impulsively done as a way of trying to save face in the public eye. But as of right now, we just don't know a whole lot about it. There's not a ton of information about the specifics of the case, and Adult Swim's statement is only 26 words in total. Like, there's just barely more letters in this statement than a single League of Legends username. And there's also not any deeper information from other outlets. There's no big scoop that's breaking somewhere. Right now, everything's just pretty unclear of exactly what's going on behind the scenes. And I don't think the statement Adult Swim put out is a problem or anything with it being so brief. It makes sense considering how serious and sensitive this case is. So I'm not surprised that they didn't go into details about it because I imagine they probably can't. Now, there is another big development that I haven't seen a ton of people mention yet, and it has to do with Justin Roiland's video game company, Squanch Games. Now, I'm sure you know of the game High on Life. It's been glorbing a ton of trick holes all over the planet, a very divisive game, but a very popular one nonetheless. That was published by Squanch Games, and now they've put out a statement letting everyone know that Justin Roiland has resigned. But Squanch Games will continue to develop games even without him at the helm. Squanch Games is also no stranger to controversy here, because they also had their own little scandal where they settled a sexual harassment lawsuit in 2019. Yep, once again, just more horrible shit all around. There's just nothing good recently for Rick and Morty fans, but I will quickly wiggle my finger and say, I told you so, because I made the prediction that if they do shit-can Justin Roiland for all of this, they would still continue Rick and Morty without him. A lot of people said that if Justin Roiland isn't there at Rick and Morty, you know, developing it, writing it, voicing it, that they just wouldn't let it continue, it would just die. But I made the argument that it is just too lucrative. It's a fucking billion-dollar franchise. It is by far the biggest thing Adult Swim has under their belt. I said that with that kind of money, there's no way they just bury it, even with Justin Roiland not being there anymore. That's exactly what they've done. Justin Roiland will no longer be there, but they're going to continue to make it going forward without his presence. That means there's going to be new voice actors voicing Rick and Morty, as well as probably very different writing. For some people that might actually be exciting, but for most fans of the franchise, I imagine that's pretty upsetting to hear, and I think a lot of people will drop it after Season 7 if it's super drastically different. I made the prediction that should they continue going forward without Justin Roiland, Rick and Morty would peter out like a little sad wet fart over time, just falling off, dwindling further and further. And I stand by that shit like a proud kid at a science fair with his little baking soda volcano. I really do think that this will be the slow demise of Rick and Morty with the entire different group at the helm. I think if Justin Roiland's not there, the best thing to have done would just be stop it altogether. But like I said, there's far too many clams on the table for that. The amount of doubloons Rick and Morty brings in is ridiculous. So there was never really any chance of that, but this is going to be just a very slow and steady decline in the quality of it, I would imagine. But who knows? Maybe I'm super wrong about that as well. It's very possible. Maybe they bring in a really talented team and they just fucking knock it out of the park without Justin Roiland being there. Maybe it's even better without him being there. A lot of people, myself included, have become very tired of his style of writing where it's all just kind of the same formula of stutter through a joke and then over-explain everything and repeat yourself 50 fucking times in the space of like 20 seconds. So maybe it actually does improve. It's possible, but I do find it unlikely. But anyway, that's kind of where this whole situation's at. Justin Roiland himself hasn't put out a statement. His legal team did put out a statement talking about how optimistic they are with the case and proving his innocence, but he himself hasn't said anything, which I think is obvious and par for the course here given the magnitude of this situation. So I don't think we'll hear from him anytime soon, but we'll see. Anyway, that's about it. So yeah.
And I hope the applying correctly to I've seen only season 1, so let's start watching more Rick and Morty. And below that for now, so